3 days before the meeting at the guildmaster's office, I was busy cleaning up a mess I had made. My little black hole wasn't an actual black hole. It had just pulled everything into my dungeon through a tiny hole that I'd opened. I added some gravity to mimic the effects of crushing anything that was drawn through the gravity well. I had successfully killed everything I'd pulled through except the last necromancer. Amazingly, he was still alive, if only barely. Once we made it back to my dungeon, I let my body fade back to mana. It was the first time I realized I preferred being in my core mental form to having an actual body. It felt like a wetsuit or chains that were keeping me contained. I looked at the mana gain from all the people still in the dungeon. It was quite a bit, and I realized that I needed to get more people to this town. While my devices certainly helped and would always be reliable, mortals really seemed to be the more powerful of the options for immediate gain. It even increased when the mortals cultivated mana inside the dungeon. I don't know if the tier of my main core had anything to do with it, but I felt like I was gaining more from people than normal. I felt a flow of mana from deeper in the dungeon and sighed. I really hadn't expected the necromancer to survive the pseudo-black hole that I had thought up. I moved down and saw a crushed body surrounded by debris. I wasn't able to absorb it due to his aura, so I moved some automata into the room to clear the debris in order for me to get to the man. I considered how I was going to control him. The easiest method would have been just to kill him. He deserved it, in my opinion, but then I would lose out on some valuable information. Sigh. I really wished Reed would wake up already so I could see how the effects of the mind control script were doing in regard to the state of his mind. After a few minutes, the automata had cleared the rubble away, exposing the man. His entire body was crushed. Any ordinary mortal would have been dead already. Green sparks were flashing over him, and his head was encased in a globe of green mana. The sparks would hit a part of his body, and the place would repair, but it would be noticeably dead. Gray, mottled skin covered gnarled muscles and organs in the spots that had already been fixed by the magic. It looked painful to me, but I couldn't tell from his expression, given that it was a mess. There was torn skin for the upper part of his face, followed by a missing jaw. Where there should have been hair were only bloodied holes, as if each hair had been pulled with tremendous force. Oh, wait, it was, I thought with a small chuckle.